It started like any ordinary day at the office, the kind where everyone rushed to meet deadlines, phones rang nonstop, and the smell of fresh coffee floated through the air. No one expected anything unusual. But in one corner of the workplace, something shocking was about to unfold. A simple, quiet woman, dressed modestly and carrying herself with calm grace, had just taken her seat when an elite coworker, known for her arrogance and sharp tongue, decided to make her the target of cruel behavior. Without warning and in front of several stunned employees, she picked up a can of Coke and threw it at the woman. Gasps filled the room as the drink splashed across her clothes, but the victim didn't raise her voice, didn't lash back, and didn't even shed a tear. She simply sat there, composed, while the elite coworker smirked, clearly thinking she had won a petty victory. To everyone watching, it seemed like another sad example of office bullying, where the powerful prey on the quiet. People whispered, but no one dared to step forward. The elite coworker strutted around as if she owned the place, proud of her cruel stunt. Yet, what she didn't know was that the woman she had just humiliated was far from ordinary. Behind her soft demeanor and simple appearance lay a truth that would shake the office to its core. This wasn't just another employee trying to blend in or survive the daily grind. She was someone connected to the very heart of the company. Someone whose presence held more weight than anyone could imagine. Every smug laugh, every whisper of mockery was building up to a moment that would flip the balance of power in an instant. The staff looked from one to another, wondering why this woman hadn't spoken up, why she hadn't defended herself. But patience was her strength, and soon the arrogant coworker was about to discover a truth that would leave her speechless. A revelation that no amount of pride or status could protect her from. Because the woman she tried to humiliate was not just any employee, she was the founder's wife. And that moment of truth was just about to arrive. The office had always been a place where appearances mattered. The elite coworker thrived in that environment, always dressed in designer outfits, walking with confidence, and making sure everyone noticed her. She loved to remind people of her connections and her importance, often looking down on those she thought were beneath her. To her, the simple woman was an easy target, a quiet employee who never argued, never competed for attention, and seemed content to sit at her desk without drawing notice. That calmness, however, only made the arrogant coworker bolder in her cruelty. What no one knew was that the simple woman had chosen this role on purpose. She had been visiting the office quietly for weeks, watching, listening, and learning how the team worked when no one realized who she truly was. Her husband, the company's founder, trusted her instincts more than anyone else's. She had asked to see the workplace from the inside, not from the position of power, but from the eyes of a regular employee. She wanted to understand how people treated one another when no titles or last names carried weight. Meanwhile, the staff whispered nervously after the Coke incident. Some were uncomfortable, but no one dared to challenge the elite coworker. She held influence and knew how to use it. Many feared that if they spoke up, their own positions might be at risk. The simple woman's silence only deepened the mystery. Why didn't she defend herself? Why didn't she report it? It was almost as if she was waiting for something, letting events unfold at their own pace. Every day afterward, the tension in the office grew tighter. The arrogant coworker strutted proudly, convinced she had shown her power. But behind the quiet eyes of the woman she mocked, a secret waited. One that would soon turn the entire workplace upside down. The days following the Coke incident were anything but ordinary. Whispers traveled through the office hallways, yet no one spoke about it openly. Some employees felt pity for the quiet woman, while others shook their heads thinking she was too weak to stand up for herself. The elite coworker, on the other hand, grew bolder, walking around with a smug smile, convinced she had set the order straight. In her mind, the office was her stage, and no one could outshine her. She believed her charm and confidence placed her above everyone else. But there was something about the simple woman that unsettled a few observant colleagues. Despite being publicly humiliated, she carried herself with unusual calmness. She greeted people kindly each morning, continued her tasks with quiet focus, and never showed anger or resentment. It was as if the Coke incident had never happened. This composure left people wondering, who exactly was she, and why didn't she react? Her presence in the office had always been a bit of a puzzle. She hadn't gone through the usual hiring process, and no one really knew much about her background. While some assumed she was just another junior staff member, others sensed there was more to her story. She didn't boast about herself, didn't try to impress anyone, and never competed for attention. Yet, in the silence of her actions, there was an air of quiet authority that many overlooked. The founder's wife kept observing, watching how people treated one another when they thought no one important was around. Each smile, each insult, each whispered remark painted a picture of the workplace culture. And with every passing day, the arrogant coworker unknowingly dug herself deeper into a trap of her own making, blind to the truth standing quietly before her. The tension inside the office reached a breaking point. Every day, the elite coworker found new ways to make the simple woman feel small. Sarcastic comments during meetings, rolling her eyes when she spoke, and even making jokes behind her back loud enough for others to hear. Some employees cringed at the cruelty, but still stayed silent, fearing the consequences of crossing the wrong person. The air felt heavy, as if everyone was waiting for something to happen, but no one dared to say it out loud. The simple woman, however, never changed. She carried herself with the same quiet dignity, her calm smile never faltering. Yet her silence wasn't weakness, it was patience. She noticed the way people shifted in their chairs, the way nervous glances passed from one desk to another whenever the arrogant coworker unleashed her superiority. She was taking it all in, each detail carefully stored away, while everyone else believed she was powerless. One Friday morning, the entire office gathered for a company-wide meeting. The founder himself was scheduled to attend, something that always brought a wave of nervous energy across the floor. The elite coworker, dressed in her best outfit, made sure to stand front and center, eager to impress. She carried herself like she owned the place, barely acknowledging the woman she had mocked so openly. The other employees watched uneasily, whispering among themselves, wondering what would happen when the founder walked in. And then, just as the room grew quiet, the simple woman took her place near the front. Her presence caught a few by surprise, but no one questioned it. For the first time, the arrogant coworker seemed uneasy, her confident smirk slipping for just a second. The moment was building towards something none of them could have predicted, as the truth about who the quiet woman really was hovered just on the edge of revelation. The office, filled with silent anticipation, was about to witness a turning point that would change everything. Just as the room settled into silence, waiting for the founder to arrive, the simple woman stood with a calmness that drew every eye. For a brief moment, it seemed as though she might finally speak, but instead she only glanced around the room, her gaze steady, almost measuring. The arrogant coworker shifted uncomfortably, though she quickly covered it with a practiced smile. Everyone thought the tension couldn't get thicker, but then the doors opened, and another unexpected figure walked in. It wasn't the founder. It was his son, the young executive many employees had only heard about but rarely seen. Whispers ran through the crowd as he stepped confidently into the room, carrying himself with the same authority as his father. The elite coworker's face lit up instantly, and she hurried forward, hoping to make an impression. She had often bragged about how she could charm anyone in leadership, and now she saw her chance. But the young executive's eyes weren't on her. Instead, They went straight to the quiet woman standing near the front. His expression softened with recognition, and in that instant, the whispers around the room grew louder. People exchanged confused glances. Why did he look at her like that? Why did his demeanor change so suddenly, almost protective, almost reverent? The elite coworker noticed too, and for the first time, her confidence cracked. She forced a laugh, speaking louder than necessary, as if trying to pull the attention back to herself. Yet the young executive barely acknowledged her presence. The simple woman gave him the faintest smile, calm and unshaken, while the rest of the office held its breath. What no one realized was that this new connection hinted at a truth even deeper than being the founder's wife. A second layer of power and influence was about to come to